Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Enter the Gungeon. Hope you're all doing well. Let's jump in. I started us off on the title screen again because people asked me, and I wanted to be helpful to those people who asked me to do that. You know, it's a catchy theme song. May as well play it off a little bit more. So we're going to pick the Hunter again today. And I don't really know if I have any special plans, but my plans, if I have any, are to get an awesome gun. And try and use it to the best of my ability. Yeah, that's how you play the video game. Big deal. All right. So apologies, I haven't really recorded a new episode of this in a few days. I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls 3, and before you run away immediately from me saying that, I'm not going to spoil anything about the game. So don't worry. I'm gonna be cool about the whole thing. But I just want to say, I've been playing a lot of it. And it's been taking up a lot of my time because it's a pretty in-depth, comprehensive type of game, as I'm sure many of you who are Dark Souls fans will attest to, who have probably also been playing it. But the fact that this episode exists means, well, maybe not that it means, but it ends up meaning, in the end, that I have finished the game, and that's great. And again, I'm not going to spoil anything, so don't worry. It's been a very odd ride, because when I finished it, I felt strangely hollow inside, and in a way that I can't really describe and put into words yet. I'm still working on figuring out how I feel about the whole thing. And don't take that as a condemnation of the game. I do believe it is a very good game. And I don't even think that I have a lot of really negative things to say about it. I think there's just something wrong with me. I can't entirely understand my feelings about Dark Souls 3, and it's going to probably take me a few more days to understand them. And I can't even explain why I don't understand them exactly. It just feels a little off. I don't know, maybe it's something surreal about the idea of there not being ever again any more Dark Souls, if that's indeed what ends up being the case. And, you know, the publisher might not actually allow that to be the case, so we'll see what actually happens with the whole thing. There may be, in fact, the Bloodborne announcement at E3. I don't know. It's very likely, in fact. So, you know, Soulsborne, kind of the same deal, right? Maybe Dark Souls will live on as more Soulsborne. And if that's the case, then so be it. I wasn't the biggest fan in the world of Bloodborne, but I also thought it was pretty good too. Just more than anything. Mostly more than anything. I really liked the way that the level design was structured and the beautiful design behind it all. But the camera and the controls, I think, worked a bit against it. Anyway, we don't need to get too far down that rabbit hole because it is quite a quagmire of discussion that is not anything to do with Enter the Gungeon. I do want to say thank you, everybody, for being very supportive and lovely in the last episode's comments. I do appreciate it. All the people that were talking about the Soma playthrough and such and gave me helpful but not spoilery hints, I appreciate you very much. The people that gave me more spoilery hints, appreciate you a little less, but still appreciate that you're here. I know you mean well, so I can't really be too angry, but I don't want everything spoiled about the game. It's just the way it is. I've been very lucky to get to this point, having played this much of it, and I realize I could have just teleported here. I've been playing a lot of the game and still haven't had the majority of the secrets spoiled for me, so that's why I was able to have this very cool moment in the last episode where I discovered the secret sewer dungeon, which I think was pretty awesome. Granted, I was probably one of the last people watching the series or participating in the community for the series that found out about it. Still, it was exciting for me, and that's something, I guess. So we got a blaster, light gun here. We've got ammo, key, and half heart. We've got a decoy ninja log and a full heart. Well, I'm not doing fantastically well from a money standpoint, so maybe we'll save those for a bit later. And the Tommy gun, I feel like, was an okay find. Now I just need an Edmund gun. Oh wait, that's the Super Meat Boy gun. Super Meat gun. Hopefully I'll get that one of these days, because I think it's probably really overpowered, unless they've already nerfed it, which I've been told maybe they will be doing. And maybe they have by this point, I don't know. Just gonna continue to... Oh, see, I was gonna roll through that slime, but it was ill-advised at this point in time, because I was not in the right position for it. You can still get hit by them. You just gotta land it just right. Alright, that's a bit unfortunate. I was hoping to go through to that boss with full first floor health. I'm coming in a little bit cold today, and oh, that was embarrassing. I'm coming in a bit cold on my Gungeon play today. I just have not played a little bit or a lot of this in a couple days. Like I said, because of Dark Souls, I seem to have a hard time, like, splitting my attention in a serious way between multiple games, which is funny, because I did a series for, like, 3 years-ish. Oh, that's just ridiculous. Where I play a different game every single day, which almost feels like video game ADHD or something, if that could be a thing. Not to make light of people who have ADHD, I just mean, it does feel a little bit like I scatter my attention a bit all over the damn place, and then I come and can't handle playing 2 games at all. Alright, how dire is the situation? Well, it seems like we've cleared the floor. The shop has some stuff I might want. 45... might be in my best interest to buy this full heart, but that's also a bit sad. Maybe I buy the key and go for the chest. Or do I go back after I finish the boss? See, this is the fatal flaw that I think Ryan always makes. You know what? If I die to a heart and a half, then I do. Let's find out what happens. I can make this decision after I fight the boss. But I think the problem that Ryan always goes to is buying or shooting the chest rather before doing the boss, because there is a chance you end up with a key. Which actually means you might not get trash out of that chest, which could be a turning point for your entire run. So, you know, that's something I've tried to prioritize. Make sure I use things in the right order of operations as often as I can. Poor use of not using a blank there. It would have been the obvious choice. But we are making some headway on this boss right now. I think we're about 3/4 done with this guy. Very hard to split my attention looking up and fighting the boss and then looking back down and fighting the life bar. And by fighting it, I mean trying to look at it while also dodging. It's not really that big of a fight. It's you know, the smallest argument that Spy Party has to offer. This is not ideal. Okay, we're there. And we're gonna switch back over to the Tommy gun. And finish the... Oh my goodness, I almost freaking bricked it at the end there. How embarrassing would that have been? The reload animation took slightly too long and then I get myself killed. What is this? This is the wind-up gun, which we can charge. How do I... Oh. Okay, so it reloads faster if you use fire. That's cute, I guess. I'm gonna use that there, and we're gonna pop back and grab that chest before I forget. And apparently, you can get to the sewer as long as you have 2 keys. Oh, armor turns your body as a weapon. I guess that means every... Do I get an armor every floor, or is that just gonna say I'm gonna do damage? Greatly increases dodge roll damage. Barbs in the suit of armor are sure to ruin anybody's day as long as that anyone is within a few inches of you. Okay. Very descriptive. So we're gonna pop back through. 49 credits says we should probably go grab something before we actually leave. Good on ammo, so I guess I'll buy the full-size heart. Probably a key might have even been the better of the 2 options, but hopefully I'll make up for it in the next floor. We'll see what happens, though. You know, not my best run for a first floor, I admit. Right, but anyway, what I was saying earlier, apparently you can get into that fireplace, into the sewer level on pretty much every attempt. The goal there... Oh, look who finally freaking shows up. The goal for that is to just make sure you have the keys, and then apparently you can push a water barrel all the way back to the fireplace and get in. So, greetings! What can I do for you? Who are you? Just a traveling tinker, got stuck here a while back. I thought I might fix these elevators, kill some time. Fixes seem to be working. Elevators only go down 1 floor at a time right now, but with the right equipment, I might be able to configure these to traverse multiple floors. Talking about shortcuts here, ma'am. How do we get them working? Not sure yet. Won't be very easy, though. Whoever engineered this place was crazy. Going to head back to the breach for now. Speak with me there when you get a chance. All right. So we know how this mission generally goes. Well, most of us do anyway by now. We need to bring him some stuff. And hopefully he will give us some shortcuts eventually. I have not unlocked any shortcuts yet. I think I've got a ways to go before I get to that point. Oh, free key. I like it. Unfortunately, the door has some fire right in front of it. Let's wait that out, I suppose. So, wind-up gun, I should probably give that its fair shake, since it is the first time I've run into it. Please fire. Took a little bit longer than I would have liked. Maybe this is actually a decent gun. Oh, wait, do the bullets get fatter and then thinner? I think that is what it is. They also might have piercing? Oh, that was awful. I'm just, like, not conditioned for the right moment here. Oh, God, this thing is possessed. I've had this room screw me so hard before. This guy's got to go. And, oh, my God, it's trapping me. Okay, just roll out. Find the possessor guy. This is really bad. All right, so I'm really in a down position already. This one room in particular feels really, really bad to me. I'll just try and make the best of it, though. All right, got him. No more damage for you, please. I think you've got the lion's share of it already. I was forgetting what that sound was. I was like, oh, right, it's the wind-up gun winding up again. Oof. Oh, right, those light on fire afterward. Really can't seem to make up my mind if this is a good weapon or not. It seems kind of all over the place. I feel like I'm constantly reloading it. Damage seems all right. I don't know. Maybe I'll use this for a second. All right, green chest, worth using. I guess we get flame. Chance to ignite on our bullets. Well, I have a lot of fast shooting things, which seem to kind of go in the direction of being useful toward things that have a chance to do something on proc, right? I would say that would be a useful thing. Whereas less bullets, probably a lower chance of getting that effect on proc. We got a cell key door, which I'm going to see if I can drum up here from one of these other rooms. We've got a traversal room. Oh, can't believe I got hit there. This could be one of my worst runs yet. Let's not have that be the case, okay? Try and be a little bit more optimistic. The power of positive thinking, I don't know. It can get us somewhere, it might not get us everywhere, but that's all I've got at the moment in my corner, other than a couple of useful guns. It's been a very busy last week or so. I played through Ratchet and Clank in its entirety, the new one on PS4. I could probably talk a little bit about that for a moment if anybody cares. I am a huge Ratchet and Clank fan, and I was very much looking forward to this, but you should be aware it is sort of a movie tie-in with the new Ratchet and Clank reboot movie that's supposed to tell the story. I mean, I played 1, 2, and 3. After that, I kind of tailed off a little bit on Ratchet and Clank for the last few years, but number 3, I think it was one of my favorite PS2 games ever. I must have clocked, like, easily over 100 hours on it. I went through and did New Game Plus a couple of times. I was, like, super, super into it, so I would say I'm above average in terms of, you know, my fandom toward Ratchet and Clank, so I was, you know, quite anticipating the game. Henceforth, also why I really wanted to rush through the game and just experience it all really quickly and just kind of mainline it like that. I think I beat the whole game in about, what was it, 3 days-ish? Primarily just ate up my whole weekend last weekend. So anyway, how was it, is probably what you're asking by now. The answer is, it's a little complicated. It's been getting really good reviews, and I have yet to really read a lot of the reviews, but I only have my own opinions right now. And very few people that I know have finished it. The few that have seem to be regarding it reasonably highly. I'm giving it, like, if I had to assign it a number, like a 7, 7.5 out of 10 maybe, tops. I think it had some issues, honestly. The writing was not great, in my opinion. The comedy element of it, which has always been pretty inextricably linked to Ratchet and Clank as a series, I felt like it fell flat most of the time, if not nearly all the time. Thankfully, the parts where the gameplay gets to really shine, and sadly there aren't as many of those moments as I would really like, those moments are great. It still feels like an absolutely visually stunning Ratchet and Clank game, and in that element they nailed it. The sound design is great, the graphics are beautiful, the game performs well, it's nice and smooth, buttery rich, and full of guns. I was worried, actually, that they were going to limit you to something like 4 or 6 guns. Then I found out that the gun list has a second page, and I felt a lot better. Although then I felt a little worse again, because I realized a couple of those were sort of gimmick guns that I didn't ever want to use, but I guess every Ratchet and Clank has had that to some degree, which is unfortunate, but what can you do? You know, not every design decision in a game you're going to agree with 100%. But why am I being so hard on it? Why am I saying this is like a 7, 7.5 kind of rating? Because that's not not outstanding. It's not like it's mind-blowingly good. Well, I think it kind of comes down to how they had to write it to make it be sort of a movie tie-in. And it's not to say that it's completely awful or anything like that. I mean, it's still got a few moments that are pretty exciting, and, you know, the bosses are generally interesting to fight and such. But there's also a bunch of reused moments. For example, Clank running away from this one particular character, which comes out as basically a really boring quick time event that lasts far, far too long. I think I pretty much have to buy the heart container here if I have any chance of living. So yeah, there's a few reused enemies and elements, I guess you could say. And also, I feel like the planets are some of the smallest I can remember. And maybe my recollection of Ratchet and Clank is a bit skewed because it's been about 10 years since I played one. So yeah, I guess take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. I'm coming from a perspective of what could be slight nostalgia goggles, but I'm going to have to cross-reference this with some of my friends that have also played a lot of Ratchet and Clank and see what they think. The first, like, 6 or 7 levels are just really small. Like, really, really quick little bites. And they mostly have you running really silly, like, errands that don't feel important or useful or exciting with characters that you mostly don't like. And I find that, and this is, again, a personal bias perhaps, but I found that Captain Quark is sort of one of the least interesting characters of Ratchet and Clank, and they basically gave him the stage for nearly the entire game. And the way they frame it, and this is something you'll find out in the very first cutscene, so this is not much of a spoiler here, but they frame the game essentially that it's completely being retold as a story from the perspective of Captain Quark, who is now in jail for reasons that you will eventually find out by playing the game. And in a long time. It's not like they reveal that at all. Like, it takes a very long time for that story to play out. But it's all said through the perspective of Captain Quark, which means you're actually getting narration from him for a very large percentage of the game. And since I find him sort of like a really badly done Zap Brannigan plus the Tick, it's just like, it's not funny really, and it sort of is just boring. I'd rather have it be a story told from an earnest perspective via Ratchet and Clank, who are, you know, in my eyes, the heroes of the game. And I know I'm taking this very seriously for what is sort of a kid's game in a way. I mean, it's not really supposed to have that serious or meaningful of a story. It's just sort of like a fun jaunt through a cartoon universe, and there's nothing wrong with that either. I just feel like they didn't treat it as... I don't even know what the right word is. I want it to be sort of a romp through a hilarious universe, and it ends up being like it's trying too hard, I guess. But eventually the game does pick up pace a little bit. Roughly, I would say about 10 hours into it, you get to the first level that feels quite expansive and actually gives you some meat to it, where you can really run around and do some searching for things. And once I got to that point, things started to feel like they were actually quite good. Unfortunately, they really don't hit that high quite as well again. There's one other level that I can think of that is reasonably reminiscent to the scope of that level, but for the most part, again, they just go back to being very small. You run one quick errand, or maybe 2 or 3, for some character you mostly don't like, and then you move on and never come back again. Why doesn't this open? Isn't this the cell key door? Or is it not? Okay, maybe I botched it. The cell key is down here, where there are no teleporters, of course. We'll figure it out. What else? Yeah, I mentioned that some of the guns were just a bit boring. I mean, there's like this disco gun. Oh, right, that was the chest a second ago. This is where the cell key usually goes, is in that room. There's a disco gun. There's like a glitch gun that makes things kind of pixelated. Felt kind of underpowered. I really did like the system they used, though, for powering up your weapons and leveling them. I thought that was kind of fun. What am I looking for right here? The cell key is this, and it doesn't open. Oh, it's a key to get to a cell key. That's why I'm confusing myself. Okay, I can't do anything about that. Unless I can buy a key from here. And I don't think I have enough for it. What is it, 32? 30. Yeah, I'm very close, but just a little short. So, as it turns out, we go on to the next floor. Underprepared. But we have lived, at least. So, I guess if I were to give you just some quick parting notes, generally a pretty good experience once it takes off. You've got to give it some patience. The writing is not my favorite. Maybe a bit arduously slow to start. The connection between Ratchet and Clank also, and in general, characters in the game, mostly pretty not greatly written. Like, just the way Ratchet and Clank interact with each other seems very depersonalized. Like, they have almost no dialogue for the whole game, which is just odd. There's like 1 or 2 instances I can think of where they actually talk to each other. And even the point where they meet is like, they just kind of gloss over the fact that how they meet is important to each other, like, to them. And then they're just sort of like, we're the heroes now. And then you're just supposed to go, oh, okay, well, I guess that's true. Because you played the game in the past and you know that they're the heroes, so GG, I guess. There's also a really weird moment that I found by accident. I know I'm sort of diverging away from the original conversation point here, but there was a character who's supposed to be sort of like Ratchet's father figure in this case, this guy that he works with in this garage. And the premise is such that, like, they're supposed to have quite a bit of care for each other. I mean, you can even see this character has a picture of Ratchet, like, on his desk in sort of like a happy father-son kind of pose halfway through the game, and the game has you traveling around the freaking galaxy in your spaceship and essentially just sort of leaving this character behind at an unexpected moment when he didn't mean to leave, but he has to because of sequence of events. You come back later when you have the ability to travel back, and there's actually no way to interact with that father figure character at all. There's not even a prompt that just lets you talk to him or get some sort of quick, like, oh, hey, how you been? I hope you've been faring well in the galaxy sort of text. There's nothing. You can't even interact at all. You just stand next to him and he'll just keep doing his thing like he doesn't even recognize you're there, which I found just like a really strange omission, since we're supposed to care about the interactions between these characters to some degree. And I know, again, I'm overanalyzing it, and it's really not that important or that big of a deal, but when the production values are so good elsewhere, it feels like a very odd omission, and it seems sort of stilted to not realize that, you know, the character should have some investment in the character progression or characterization of who is the hero of the story. But then again, you realize they've reframed this so he's not the hero of the story. Someone who's in jail is the hero of the story, which doesn't really make any sense for me. But again, I'm just going in circles here. It's not that big a deal. The game is generally fun, and I would say probably worth the purchase as well if you're a fan of Ratchet and Clank. Just be aware. Some of these reviews, I think, have gotten a little bit over the top with regard to their praise for it, at least in my opinion. I definitely can't see a lot of ways to justify it being like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 kind of thing. I do feel, though, very strongly that this is the game they needed to have for the launch of the PS4 to start to legitimize it for people, because, again, production-wise, it is very beautiful. And it really does show off the hardware very well, especially with how much is going on screen and the level of sheer chaos when the bolts start flying and everything is exploding and everything's on fire. It's very exciting. There's also a bit of a confused message about, like, the cartoon elements of life and death with the game. I can't really understand what demographic they seem to be going for, because at moments they glorify violence, and at other moments it feels like they downplay it. And it's a tone that it's just kind of very inconsistent throughout the whole game. Again, overanalyzing, but I'm picking at what I feel like stuck out to me as I played through it, and that was one of the elements. The tonality was a little bit iffy to me. We're gonna probably end up buying another full heart here, because we're just barely living from one floor to the next. It's not the position you want to find yourself in the Gungeon. Oh, Blockner. Hello. This is not where you're usually standing, is it? I don't know if I want to fight Blockner right now. I'm definitely not gonna live, I can tell you that much. Maybe we'll set it up for another day when I'm a little bit better equipped. I'm trying to think if there was any other major point I wanted to hit while we're still talking about Ratchet and Clank. I think there was probably at least 1 or 2 other things that I wanted to hit on. But I think we've covered enough that it probably is good to leave behind now. Anyway, I appreciate that Sony sent me an early copy of it to review. And I guess this is right now my, sad to say, I guess, my sort of quick once-over review. I was planning on doing this for Roundtable, but we ended up not having one on Friday. And with PAX coming up, I'm not sure if I will be able to get to a Roundtable where I'll be able to talk about the game, unfortunately, so this might be it for the moment. I was also planning on maybe streaming some of the New Game Plus mode of it, but I also was a little bit apprehensive about how many people would find that frustrating if I just, like, have all the stuff at the beginning of the stream. It would have been a really good way to showcase some of the pluses and minuses about the game, to be able to show it in its New Game Plus stage, because essentially one of the other things I guess I wanted to mention was there's a card system in it, which seems really out of place, at least at first. It starts to make sense at the end of the game why it exists. But they really should have given you the mission that explains why the cards are a thing, like, way earlier in the progression. Because as it stands, it feels just... oh, rough. As it stands, it sort of feels like there's a card system because everything has a card system in it now, which doesn't feel like a great reason to have a thing in a game. Turns out that's not why they have it, but it just sort of feels superficial at the beginning of the game. We're going to return to the breach. And if I could give you the Cliff Notes, reason why it does matter is they'll give you a mission, so about, like I said, a few hours into the game, that essentially tasks you with finding these specific cards that unlock the mega secret ultra weapon of the game, which is a thing they've had in the past. I think it's called the Rhino, which is basically they have you collecting all of the... a card that represents all of the rhinos that have existed in past iterations of Ratchet and Clank, and once you collect them all, you turn them in and get that gun, which is a cool reason to have that system, I guess, in a way. But they also have you collecting about 36 other sets of 3 cards by random drops, and it sort of just ends up being another thing that is a drop that you can get, and there's, you know, obviously nuts and bolts show up all the time because that's the currency of the game, and you rarely use them, actually. You mostly just use them to buy guns, and you'll buy all the guns very early. Well, not very early in the game, but as soon as they show up in the store, you'll pretty much buy them immediately, and then you'll have nothing else to spend your bolts on other than refilling your health bar, which is really easy to do by simply dying. Just die and respawn, and you'll have your health back most of the time. So, I don't know. Maybe I should have played on hard. I played it on normal because that seemed like what the standard way to play the game would be. The general, like, mid-ground way to play. So, I don't know. It feels a little silly to have to put that caveat into talking about a game like, oh, I should have played on a different difficulty mode. Well, what's the definitive way you play the game? I want to play it on that version so I know what the development staff was working toward when they wanted you to play the game. I usually assume normal is that thing, but maybe I was mistaken in this case. The game was generally pretty easy. There were a couple of stumbling blocks I got stuck on, but they were for silly reasons, like falling off the same ledge several times because something kept pushing me back with knockback. Whatever. Minor gripes. In general, it was alright. And this has been Enter the Gungeon. I guess we will abruptly end the episode after I've talked about Ratchet and Clank for 20 minutes. Fair enough. I wish I could have given you a better run, honestly. But, you know, I was a little bit cold today. At least we had a good thing to talk about, so that was fun. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you again for the continued support, those that are still watching the series. I intend to play a lot more of this, even if I don't catch an episode up for us every single day. This is not going away. For sure, for a long time. So, there will be more Gungeon. Thanks again for the support, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, make sure you leave a like. I will see you on the next one, and I hope you have a great night. Talk to you all later.